hello, and welcome back to the It's In You podcast. So today I want to talk about what things would I recommend for you to do if you were just starting out in looking to get a new kind of health and wellness routine in order. So this came to me because I have a friend that had messaged me and she had been feeling a little bit stuck. She'd noticed that she'd put on an extra 10 kilos, which I think she kind of saw creeping on, but kind of didn't want to admit to it at first. But now it's getting to a point where she's uncomfortable. She feels uncomfortable bending over, she's clothes aren't fitting, and she really wants to do something about it, but she's not really sure where to get started. So this is where my inspiration for today's podcast comes from, because this is the advice that I gave to her, and this is what I'd give to anybody when you're starting out with something on this kind of new journey. And maybe some of the things I have to say are not typically what you would think. Okay, so what I would be doing is when you're looking to start something new, you want to make a change, I really want you to stop and take a breath and think first, because what happens is we get to this point where we are uncomfortable. So you might feel uncomfortable, you might notice that you have put on weight and you want to make some changes. But the thing is that we've got to just take a big breath, stop, and work out where you're at first and what you really, really want. So because it's really easy to jump in to our old things, jump into what we've done before, jump into some form of restriction or any of those things. So it's really easy to jump in, to quickly try to jump into that and to try to get some quick fix. The thing to always remember is quick fixes don't work, and they're not going to work in the long term. So you might get a result straight away. But the thing is that it's keeping the habits in place and finding something that you can stick to for life that's going to give you long-term results. Anyone that I know or anyone that I've seen, try to get some real quick fixes, they generally always put the weight back on. They put the weight back on plus more. So my first step is to really work out what you want to achieve. Okay, so what are you looking for? And to be really, really honest with yourself about this. So the thing as well is when we think we want to go, or we think we're setting out to achieve something, if we're not honest with ourselves about this, then we're never going to get there, because deep down we don't want it. Deep down you're not really wanting it, or you're doing it for someone else. You may have heard me say before, my husband used to be a smoker. We've been together a long time, but when we're new in our relationship, I kind of had said, would you think about giving up? And he tried to give up for me, but he wasn't giving up for himself, which meant he didn't really stick to it. When he did give up, he gave up because he decided himself. So this is what I'm saying. I want you to be really, really honest with yourself about what you want. Okay, think about what you really, really want and write that down. So what is it you want? And really, really define it and be honest. What I also see happen a lot is I have lots of people coming to me and they really do want to achieve weight loss, but they don't want to say that they want to achieve weight loss. So they dance around it. So they dance around it by saying they want other things, where the truth is they actually just want to lose weight, but they're a bit scared to admit that they want to lose weight, because they're scared to admit it because what happens if they don't do it? What happens if they don't get there? So that they don't get there, or it's harder than they think, then they'll feel like they're a failure. So I see lots of people not actually admitting what they really want, and they'll dance around the subject, and they'll say that they want other things instead of, really saying that they want to lose weight. So be really honest with yourself. And if you want to lose weight, make that your focus and be like, yes, I want to lose weight. I'm going to start working on it, and let's work on it from there. So being honest with yourself is the first real step. What ties in with all of that is working out your why. So what is your why? What is that deep internal motivator that you really want, that's going to keep the driver that's going to keep moving forward? So why are you wanting to lose weight? Are you wanting to lose weight because of you'd like to look a different way? Are you wanting to lose weight because you would like to still be able to keep up with your kids? What is that you really want to achieve? Is it for because you're at risk of heart disease or diabetes or any of those things? So work out that why and what's that internal driver, because that's the thing that will keep you going. And the why is something that I remind myself of all the time. So that's still in line with our first step. So our second step is I want you to look at your personality type. So want you to, again, being honest with yourself, what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So are you going to say, well, I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to exercise for 2 hours a day and I'm going to eat nothing but lettuce leaves. And what are you setting yourself out to do, or what are you thinking you can do? We need to look at what works for your personality, because what works for me is different to the next person. And we also want you to be able to stick to it. So working out, are you a morning exerciser? Are you an afternoon exerciser? Are you better in the evening? Are you better before lunchtime? Whatever works for your personality type. I really want you to think about that. Are you someone that needs accountability? Do you need, do you prefer to train on your own? Do you want to train in a group? What's the combination of things that you are going to need to do first? We also want to look, when we're thinking about personality type, what's the things that you've done before? So what's things that you've done before, like with your food, with your exercise, with your stress management? What things have you done before with that to lose weight or keep you at a size that you like? So what were those things that were in place at that point? And how can we make sure that we're keeping them, that you're keeping them up? So if we are choosing things that are too complicated for us, so lots of times I get people coming to join, they're saying they're going to join the classes, and they might say, what I recommend to everybody, I said, if you're not sure, I would say start at 2. Start at 2 sessions and regularly build the habit in. Okay, regularly build that habit in, and then you'll be able to, then you can look at adding to it from there. Instead of, some people go, I'm going to come and train every day. Then they've come and say they're going to train every day and they miss some days and they don't make it, and then they feel like a failure. Then they don't want to show up because they're embarrassed or they feel like they didn't do it. So it's just start off, making it as fail-proof as possible. So looking into your personality type, looking what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what you like, what feels good for you. Think about what you've done before, and the things that did work for you, that did before, the things that you didn't. So, if there's things that you've done before and they didn't work, why would you do them again? Okay, we've got to learn from the things in the past. To learn from these things in the past, and we need to be able to move on from them. So really, really, being honest with yourself again. And I would be writing all this stuff down. I love writing things down because it becomes so much more clearer. And when we are thinking of, write down a list, what worked for me, what didn't work for me. When we can be more clearer on these things, you will really know what your path is going to be so much easier for you, because we've got these kind of things that don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, because it didn't work. So being honest and looking at your personality type, okay? So I have lots of people that say they know they need accountability. So they know they need accountability. They know they need somebody to be chasing up with them. So, if that's you, then make sure you find something, or you hire a coach, you get somebody that's going to give you that accountability that you need, because that's how you're going to be more likely to stick to it. My third tip is look at your schedule. So, what is your schedule like? Are you committing to too much? And what can you realistically fit in? Again, because we don't want you to overcommit to something and then feel like you're a failure. So what can you realistically commit to? What can you manage with your kids, grandkids, your lifestyle, your work? What things can you tie in with all of that? And it's really working out that stuff. So if you're again committing to training in the morning, but you're going to have you're working night shift, maybe that's not right for you. So maybe we need to think about doing something, or finding, like if you're looking for somewhere to join, a program to join, or classes to go to, or a PT, whatever, you need to make it work for you in that way. So we can't be choosing something that's just too hard. I do it to myself all the time. I say yes to too many things, or I try to fit too many things in, and I give myself not enough time travel between already of that. And I'm getting a lot better at saying no, or planning, like saying no and not putting it in, because it ends up stressing me out. And, so that's what I don't want you to do either. So what I also find is it's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially when we're trying to do new things. So we're trying to do new things. We have this frustration because we've a size that we don't like, and we want to make a change and we want it to happen quickly. We need to slow down and really be realistic about what we can stick to. Because the thing is, what I've seen over the, many years as a trainer is it 14 years or something now? But what I see is people that try to do too much to start off with, they won't stick to it. So what I want you to do is be realistic. Choose what feels manageable. So then you will manage it. Yes, weight loss will be slower. It will be slower, but you will stick to it forever. What I find is with other people, they join these, things for short term, and they're jumping from thing to thing, is they end up giving up, because it all becomes overwhelming. It becomes too much, too hard, too strict. So you've got to find something that's going to work for you, because the goal is long-term weight loss, and that we can learn to manage it. So then you don't get yourself into this position again. So habits, we want to start with your one habit. So my fourth tip is start with one habit and look at building on from there. So habits are really important. Lots of people, when they're starting out, they're looking for motivation. So you want to be motivated to get started. Or I hear people saying, I just wish I had more motivation. Motivation will get you started, but motivation is not going to keep you going. Your habits are going to keep you going. So this is why, going back to our first point when we talked about that why and understanding your why, that is the thing that is going to keep you going when we don't have that motivation anymore. And motivation, it does not hang around all the time. Okay, I'm not motivated all the time, but I have habits in place, and I understand how important it is for me to do it, and I tie it back to my why, and that's why I keep going forward. And it's really important to build on those habits. We also want to think about, when we are building on habits, you are more likely to stick to something when you tag it to a habit you already have. So I said I was going to do yoga every day. I said that, but I didn't tie it to anything. So I said I was going to do it when the kids went to bed, and every night came, and I didn't do it. I'll try again tomorrow, and I'm sure you've done something similar. And then I was like, okay, what is going on here? I'm not doing what I said I'm going to do. I want to do it. It's important. But I already had a habit of running every morning. So what I did is I set my alarm 15 or 20 minutes earlier. I got up earlier and I did yoga, and then I ran. And I did it every day because I tagged it with a habit that I already had. So we want to look at focusing on kind of one habit at a time and building on from there. So again, back to going to what your personality type is. So would it be good to maybe just say, okay, I'm going to only focus on food, or I'm going to only focus on exercise, or I'm going to, are we going to build on from there? Because again, we're always looking for this long-term picture. So think about what are your current habits, what ones are supporting that goal that we really defined when we were starting off, being honest with ourselves, what habits are supporting that and what habits are not supporting that. So the ones that are not, we want to look at, maybe looking at altering those habits and seeing how we could change. And there's things that you could be, let's say that, you come in from work every day and you come in and then you open a bottle of wine and you just start to have a drink, and then that turns into two, and and before you know it, you've had nearly all of that bottle through the course of the night. Now, is that supporting your goal? It's not, probably not supporting your goal, but maybe we could look at changing that habit. I'm not telling you not to drink wine, but maybe you could look at reducing. Maybe you don't need to open that bottle as soon as you get home. Maybe you could have one glass of wine with dinner. Maybe you really enjoy having a glass when kids have gone to bed, and you could sit there and enjoy that glass. maybe you don't need to have a drink every night. It's just thinking, what habit is supporting my goals, and what do I feel like what habits can I carry forward? And then we're going to look at building on from those habits. My fifth tip is do not underestimate small changes. So small changes make long-lasting results. What I see happen all the time is people say, oh, I can't, they have this all or nothing mentality. So they think, well, they can't do everything. So if they can't do it all, well, they may as well not start. So, the thing is that if we look at small habits, small changes, and we build on from there, and it's those small changes that we incrementally change over time, they become big changes. If I give you an example of how I eat now compared to how I ate 15 plus years ago, is completely different. But I made small changes along the way. So, with the foods I used to eat compared to the foods I eat now, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I know that I don't eat them because I don't enjoy them, but I just made little changes over time. With anything, so we just don't underestimate small changes. When I was building my core strength after I had kids, when I was building that up, I couldn't fit in a long workout. I could maybe only do 10 or 15 minutes here or there. And I did that multiple times throughout the day. I just did it when I could. I did little things when I could. If I kept telling myself I don't have enough time for this, I can't set the time aside, I would get nothing done. I would have done nothing. But I just did little things. So if you are somebody like I hear lots of mums saying they don't have enough time to exercise, put 5 minutes aside, 10 minutes. Because once you start, you'll go for a little bit longer. Just start with something, because you can build on from there, and something is better than nothing. And you will increase strength. You will increase your fitness. You will make changes by doing something. It's also to look around, and when we're looking at making small changes, look at what changes you can make that are already fit within your lifestyle. So it's not feeling like I've got to do another this when I get home. So things that I find that you can do is movement. How can you move more during your day? So if you're at a desk job, how can you get up and walk around more? I had one lady that she worked out how she could, she worked out to get her steps, how she'd go a different way to the photocopier. Take different breaks, take the stairs, park your car away further. So I found those things, easy to put in. I had another lady who, in her lunch break, she chose to walk so she could move more. She chose a lunch that she could eat while she was walking, so she wasn't sitting down, and she got to walk her full lunch break. So she was moving more. So it's just think about how we can make these small changes work for us and make them work within your day. What I see all the time is that, because daily movement is really underestimated as to getting long-term results, is, people waiting at school in the cars. So, you might get there 15 or 20 minutes early. You could get up and you could be moving in that time. You're already sitting there. So just think about what you can already fit into your day that, that can make a big change. The other thing is I heard somebody saying how they wear a weighted vest around the house. So when they're doing the jobs and that around the house, they're wearing like a weighted vest. So you're carrying this extra weight. So you're already doing this stuff around the house. You're just adding that extra load onto you that is going to challenge your body. So there's things that you can fit in with the habits or the things that you're already doing in your life. So, the things we want to think about is with getting a long-term, looking for a long-term goal, you've got to, whatever you're doing now, we need to add on to that. So, we have, so I have somebody that we talk about daily movement and getting your steps up. So, we have somebody that she already walks. She has a job where she's very active at job. So she might do 20,000 plus steps a day already. Now for her body is used to her doing that. So for her to get a change, she needs to add on to that. she needs to add on to that and add some more steps and do some more, or change a different activity for her body to be challenged. So that's what we need to look at. How can we challenge our body differently so we're getting a result? If we keep doing the same thing, the same exercise or the same amount of movement and expecting the same results, well then, we need to change it. You need to change up what you're doing. So whether you change your exercise, the type of exercise you're doing, the weights you're lifting, how hard you work, that's one option. Changing your daily movement, how much you move, or looking at your food, look at your sleep. So they're all the things, So what I would recommend is to really nut these things out first. So before we jump ahead and try to quickly jump into something so we can get a quick result, I really want you to stop and think about these things. Stop and think about this and make a bit of a plan. Because when we have this kind of foundation down, so we're being realistic as to what we really want. We are looking at our personality type, what we may have done before, what we've tried, what we liked, what we maybe didn't like. And we're going to kind of think, well, I'm going to be more inclined to stick to this. We're then going to be looking at your schedule. So looking at your schedule and what is realistically going to fit into your lifestyle. So don't be like me and try to book in too many things at the same time. Be like, what can I realistically stick to? What's going to not put me under too much pressure? Again, when I used to live in Glasgow, I would have come home and I knew, because I understood my personality, is that if I went home, I wouldn't go back out. So I would bring my clothes to, my gym clothes to work. I would walk home past my own house to the gym. And I didn't go home because I knew I wouldn't go back out. So it's making sure, you've found something that's going to work with you and work in your lifestyle. And being realistic with your schedule so it doesn't feel overwhelming. What happens when we feel overwhelmed? We feel like it feels like it's all too much and then we give up. When we feel overwhelmed, it's actually a sign that you're learning. It's a good thing. It's a sign that you're learning. And I want you to learn, but I don't want you to give up. Our fourth thing that we're working on is we are looking at our habits and we are focusing on one at a time. So we're looking at building on one habit, one on the other. And, if you're wanting to look at stacking them, so then you're putting a new habit with an old habit, you'll more likely stick to it. But we want to just build on one from there. And remember, if we do too much at once, it just becomes too overwhelming. And my fifth tip is to not underestimate small changes. So, make small, look at what small changes you can fit into your day that don't feel you're already doing these things. How can you add extra in? I've done things like, I still do things like, if I'm taking the kids to the park, I'll be making sure that I'm moving. What things can I get so that I'm getting my movement, but I'm doing it with my kids as well? So how can I input that type of stuff? When you can have a bit of a think about this and plan this stuff out first. Are you someone that needs accountability? We talked about that before. So we've got to think about those things and write it down, and then you can start planning what steps you're going to take forward. Probably the biggest roadblocker or the biggest thing that I see people to stopping them achieving their goal is they don't regularly check in with themselves. So we don't regularly assess. Lots of times we're telling ourselves stories in our heads of what we're doing or what we can do, but we're not being realistic. We're not checking in on it. So when I run different programs, I have a weekly check-in. There's lots of people that don't even check in with me, and I'll have to be chasing them up. And but the checking in, the magic is in the check-in, because that's where you can see what needs to be improved on. I understand it's nerve-wracking to look at that, to maybe see that some things aren't going quite as you expected. But if we keep ignoring it, nothing's going to change. This is where we learn. When we learn how to manage it for life. So find a way to check in with yourself regularly. Or again, if you've got someone for accountability, look at that. So don't underestimate a check-in and checking with yourself weekly. A couple of weeks ago, I was looking at my steps and I just was writing them down. Now I know that I do 10,000 plus steps a day. So I was just writing down out of interest, and I realized, and again, but I wasn't checking in, I realized that over the school holidays, my steps were nearly half. And I didn't know that. So it was good because I'd seen that. So next school holidays, I will look to make a change. But I didn't realize, that just because I was writing down, I was like, wow, my steps are half to what I normally had. And I probably would have thought that I would have done the same. Obviously, my routine was different. But that's why that checking in and reflecting and looking back is so, so important. So if this is you, I would really you can do it. You can get to wherever you want to be. We just need to start to believe in yourself and, but just look at setting the foundation first. Because when we spend this bit of time working this stuff out first, you will get what you want because you're making your plan bulletproof. And when you are reflecting more often and you're noticing things that are working or things that aren't, we can make changes and tweaks along the way. So the plan you start off with isn't the plan that isn't set in stone. It can definitely be changed, definitely be worked on. But we need to, really set the foundation right, and you will get where you want to be. I would really, really love to hear if this has helped you, if you've started to if you're going to put any of these things into place. Let me know how you go, because I love to hear back from people. And if you know anybody that this would help, please make sure you share the podcast. You like and share it on any of your social media platforms, because it helps the podcast grow and it helps us help more people. So I'm going to love you and leave you today, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon. Okay, bye.